All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. So, Ms. P, as we talking about this topic, what are some of the things in your mind that comes along with this? You know, we were on the in the first half of our show, we were talking about the family structure and how you would be defined or defining ourselves in history. Now, it's reference to the public and out into society.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you
It,
know what?
mhm.
I am so glad, Dr. K, though, that we did focus on the family first because that's foundational. And I'm so glad that all of the words that we said have reached the minds and right now are causing a different mindset because we got to change the mindset up here. We have to change the appearance of the household. And we have to change what goes on in the household. So I'm glad you got that out first. Now we're talking about how will we be defined in history as a people? Man, listen, I know for a fact that we are a people of perseverance because we persevered so many and we overcame so many obstacles. We are a people that are resourceful. We can take a little and make a lot out of it.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
just look at Carver. He took the peanut and had what over 200
Well,
creations
well, he had more
patents
than
from it.
not. You know, they want to references us to to the peanut,
Mhm.
Mr. P. So, which is a good reference, but he said the more than 200, which is great. But he's not only a reference to the peanut. He has done so many great things that
Mhm.
they tend to not want to put in place
Well, come
of
on, tell us about them.
mindset. So, Brother Carver had, I mean, just the innovation of the moving things along in society as you see today. He was instrumental in a whole lot of things. I mean, we can go in detail into that, but the peanut, it was just not one of them. But like you say, 200 and then some,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is the sum up, how creative he was. And like you
absolutely.
say,
So that's where I'm going. You know, we are resourceful. Look what we can do with a little. Look what we can do with one peanut, and as
mhm,
an example,
right.
and do over 200 patents from that. Look at what we can do with the little bit that we had, coming back all the way from the huts back in those lands where we would have to sit on the plantation
Mm.
and make it. Look at how we have overcome. So we are a people that persevere. We are a people that overcome. We are a people that are resourceful. And here it is, one more thing. We are known as a people that are forgiving. Now, a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't forgive. Well, regardless of
Right,
that,
right,
right now,
right, right.
we're talking about what we are as a people.
Yeah.
And that is a good thing to be forgiving because you let that mess go and you move on.
Mhm.
So those four adjectives, man, just talk about us, Dr. K, as a people. And I am so proud of us for overcoming the things that we did, the atrocities, the holdback, being oppressed, suppressed, depressed. There
Yeah.
it goes back to our mental state.
Yep. Oh yeah.
How many people would have gave up and just said, I can't take it no
Man,
more. All
so
this
many,
stuff on me,
so
I can't
many,
take it. But we did.
so many, Minister P. As you talk about that, resourceful, resilient,
Mm,
of resilient people as well,
that's it.
and it's just a wonder why we don't, in today's society, we've moved away from what we are. to be other names. You know, ministry, I don't know if that it was sending you something that draws us up to as far as defining ourselves in history.
Mhm.
Now we have to define our own name, not somebody opposing a name upon us. You know, I myself don't agree and derive from the term, using that term to be called an African American, because I don't know one. I don't know anyone in Africa.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and if I choose to know someone, I don't know him, but when I look this person up, he's from South Africa. I'm talking about Elon Musk.
Yeah, right.
So I'm looking at Elon Musk and I'm looking at myself. I said, man,
Right.
he don't look like me.
An African, right. Right.
So you know, defining ourselves in history has to be, we have to do that. We can't let somebody say, well, no, you're African American. Well, so, sir, ma'am, I'm sorry. Last time I checked, I don't have any relatives that I know of in Africa. And I, even though we may be, as reference to research so many years ago, that we can pinpoint, but I say, if there is a tribe there and a nation somewhere, from whether it be east, west, south, north of Africa, I say, I know I know which not that I come from, and don't even speak the language. So why would I derive to call myself that when I'm not that? I said, I only know one point of history to one land. Says they so call this place America. I said, well, I would have derived to call myself, if you want to call me, use that term, Black American. I'm a Black Native American because I'm natively from this land.
So, there you go.
So if I'm gonna define myself, I'm gonna give myself my own defined name, not someone coming up with a name for me. That way I have self-respect and self-preservation within myself, not to oppose or to please you. This is for me to define myself in history.
As an
So
identity,
moving forward,
right.
yeah, I have an identity now. Now somebody can recognize and who I was when I once walked this land and left what we call those footprints, Minister P. Now I'm defining myself in history. That way I can be recognized moving forward, and not someone giving me a name. So to me, Ministry, if we define myself, if I had my way with it, I would remove anything that anywhere in the country that defines African. I will remove it because it doesn't equate to where I've derived it from this land. It's not defining me because, again, well, Elon Musk can walk in the door then and say, well, hey, I'm part of that too. And we clearly know that he's not don't derive from the same lineage that we come from. You know, we see that's the stuff that we have to define. That way we lock and box ourselves, our own self into, and lock it. That way we don't have anybody coming in and tampering with it and saying, well, no, that's not what it was. We're going to change it. So now our define as reference to history and to society is something totally different. And again, not to appease, but it's to educate someone so that they know. So if they do see someone as of me, like me, they know how to differentiate the two. Say, well, no, that person is from this part of the land and that person is from that part of the land. Even though they may derive to look alike, but they have just different cultural backgrounds. Just simple as that. And that's defining. That way, Ministry, we don't go crazy. Because surely, if to hash this thing out, somebody could easily go crazy, because it can become so convoluted and confusing if you think about it. Because if you surely put a room full of people that look alike and all different start speaking different languages, and that's a continuously everyday thing that you got to hear over and over and over again, that would drive somebody insane. Especially if you don't focus in on what they're saying now, and you just shut down and get nervous. Oh my God, all this that'll drive you insane. So this is stuff that we have to really pay attention to in as reference to what we look at culture and what they call the Black society. We have to really derive and define our own point of history now, because surely if we don't do it, you should rest assured somebody else will, and it won't be the right person.
Right. Well, the thing is, somebody already has, so we have to re-educate. They already have defined our
Yeah.
uh, um, but that's why we have to re-educate and listen, restudy. There's a word, restudy,
We're gonna be a
all
word
over.
today.
It's gonna be a word today, but we have to do do that, and so that we can re-educate the mind of those that have a heart to listen. See, everybody's not gonna listen to it. We already know that. Uh, but those that will listen and those that do understand where we're coming from and where we're going to, those that understand our aim, our assignments uh, uh, involving me, those people will listen and they will say, yes, I understand that. So from now on, from this day forward, I'm speaking Black American. I'm teaching Black American. In my household, Black American. In my community. See, so how do we get it across? One person at a time. One show at a time. Let's look at this.
Yeah.
One show at a time, one episode at a time. And so before you know it, man, we're all speaking the exact same language.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
We,
beautiful.
we have to definitely start speaking the same language. That's definitely should be a part of one of our code of ethics. We have to speak the same language, so that way we make it clear and plain.
Yeah.
There's no confusion. There's no back and forth. We all on the same level, same page, speaking the same language. That way we
Unity.
get this unity. I
That,
mean, we've
that was
said
one of
that
them, man.
over and over, ministry
Yeah.
unity. We've said that over and over. I mean, without that, where are we going? I mean, we have now. If we look at ministry today, I see about 5, 6 young boys walking down the street, and I'm as I going where I was going, they walking past, and I speak to one or two of them, and they never even acknowledged that I said anything to them. So the language is not there. This reference to seeing me as I'm surely, matter of fact, I know I'm old enough to be their father. And they didn't even have even the inkling to even look up at me in the eye and say, hey, how you doing?
Because there's no unity.
There's no unity, and we're not speaking the same language. So and that's making a point of to define us in history. If I can't reach out to them, who can I reach out to?
Dr. K, listen, back, speaking of speaking the same language, back in the day when I was coming up, we had a code where we would always, um, as we would greet each other or leave each other, we would always say, stay up, stay up, stay positive, or what's up?
Yep.
Or we would just go like this.
Yep.
And that was it. Everybody spoke that same thing
Same
because
language.
we knew back in those days that we were shown up in a struggle in the 70s, 80s, 90s. We were in a struggle. So we knew then we had to unite. But what all changed that though, Dr. K, was when different ones started making money on themselves and that never put it back in the community. Then they started separating themselves from the community. I got my castle over here, y'all struggling. I got my money over here, y'all struggling. I got my mind on my money on my mind. And it became disharmonious. And so therefore the unity left. You on your own, bro. You on your own.
And if you can't, not saying that you have to give the money, but it's the whole same old story that you can be heard from so many people. If I had 2 spoons, Minister P, and you got one, and you like, sir, I see that you have 2 spoons. Is there any way that you can show me on how can I acquire my second spoon? What happened to that? That's simple, Mr. P.
It's gone out the door, for the most part.
I mean, you can't get no more simpler than that. That's plain. I done made it plain as it can be. So, ladies and gentlemen, we talk, and that's what this is. If you want to call it a talk show, we're talking, and if we have to talk, that means there's a problem. There's a problem. If we're talking on this platform, because mainly this platform it should be for one, it's still educational because there's still learning processes every day. But two, at the same time, if we are still going into the process of we're trying to resolve an issue, and it's a continuous issue, that means we have some major problem in society. And again, we talk about our platform being about the mental state. We have to really be studying and looking at our mental state to see where are we gauging our minds, where our mindset, what is it based on, what is it focused on? Are we truly looking to make a defining moment in history? Because if I had to look at it now, ministry, outside of myself and you, and maybe a few other people, I'll say we'll give it up to about a million people, which is a whole lot more people than that in the world. We would not have too many people that we can define in history. That list would be really small. I mean, people you can just run off the top of your head just like that. Just as we were able to run off so many: Washington Carver, Dr. King, Malcolm X. I mean, Elijah Muhammad. We can go on and Stokely Carmichael. We can keep going and going and going. How to be what? I mean, we can keep going. Dr. Francis Cress Wells. We can keep going. We can keep going. Where is that at today? Not saying that there's any, but I mean, just to run off the head. And not saying these people were looking for popularity, but there was a popularity in the message that they put out, because it had a geared moment to where, hey, well, that means something, and there's a reason why it's being said, because ministry, you said it, the struggles that we were having, where have they went? You got a few blacks and got a little bit more money, okay, fine, but the condition hasn't changed. We talking about politics. Politics way up here for blacks, condition way down here. That means something.
Wait, what did you say was way down there?
The condition of the people. Oh. It's low level. Yeah. Politics for blacks is through the roof. But what is the condition of the people? People in bad shape. Bad shape. I didn't mean to cut you off, Minister. You said you had something. You had an article or something that you.
Oh no! I was just looking at the paper where, but this is not even on our topic right now. I was just looking at the paper where ex-president pleads the fifth, talking about a history that's going to be. This is going to be in the history of American history. Yeah. This is the worst president ever to take the office. A president taking the fifth. Never heard of it in the 64 years I've been on this.
Well, we heard it before, Minister. We heard it. We heard it. He just didn't use that term. Bill Clinton. he used it. He didn't use that term, but he pled the fifth on a lot, and it had nothing to do. I'm gonna just say this because this is not that, and we can go into that at a later date. But yeah, him pleading the fifth, it had nothing to do with Monica Lewinsky. Let's just say that. Okay, so he was keeping other secrets other than, but any case. Oh,
okay, but I'm talking about, wait a minute, but see, I'm talking about the facts now. What came out of this man's mouth, he said, I plead the fifth. That came out of his mouth. I ain't never heard of that before in my life.
Back to the top, we'll get back to the top real quick, Minister. We'll say this. He has every right, because what? 1 through 12 of the constitutional amendments was solely written for European American whites. So he's doing his due process in the pleading the fifth. So he doesn't have to really truly speak on it. Even though that if he doesn't, we want to be considered a liar, which we know he's that. Let's just not say, Minister, in defining history, that we don't have two worst presidents in this time slot in history. Because that's what it's boiling down to.
No, I'm gonna say this is the worst, man. So we're going to agree to disagree agreeably.
I know, but him and Biden, they running right now. To me, if I had to do the statistical thing, they, as far as being person wise, they running neck and neck. Now, as far as office wise and what they've done to make some, we'll say, quote unquote, some kind of difference. Well, we can get our statistics on that. I mean, just look at gas. That's just one right there.
It's coming down.
It is, but it shouldn't even never been there.
But it's coming down.
It is. It is. It should be all the way there. Matter of fact, it should have never moved. It should have been something locked in place to where that wouldn't hurt the people overall. So now that's a strike one for Biden. And matter of fact, he out already, but I'll extend him to a basketball term and give him a couple more fouls. Right now, he at number 4. You close Biden, gonna foul out in a minute. So, but that's another topic.
Hey man, look, once we get into that topic, it's gonna be on. It's gonna be on, man. It's gonna be on. It's gonna be on. Because that's the worst president I've seen in my life, Trump. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. In that aspect, I do agree. We did do some little goofy stuff which is way far beyond.
Wait until you see the papers that he has, the national secrets documents that he has in his house, which he never should have kept and never should have sold to the other nations out there. Russia, Iran. Oops, excuse me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mr. B. No, I'm listening.
No, we off that. We off that. Go ahead. Because we about to get heated on this. But our history, man, you know, you were saying it right, man. We are a resilient people. I mean, we really have overcome. And the thing is, we have a lot of room for growth, and we are growing up in those areas.
Yeah.
And like I always say, it's what we need. We are a people that know what we need. See, once we know what we need, housing, healthcare, education, and economics, once we get those grounded and don't be swayed by nothing else, then we will become the people that we always need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have it's sad, Minister P, that we have a unique skin tone, but then sad enough that we are the only people that have never had the luxury of being part of the industrialized movement that happened in America.
Yeah.
You know, that's a defining point in the moment in history. And it's hopefully that doesn't repeat itself, because you know, and to get jumping back and forth as far as the politic thing. Once we do that, like you say, we shouldn't have to, you know, it wouldn't even be a tug of war back as far as great presidents, because when you align yourself economically right, you can care less who the president is. You know, that you can care less, because then at that point, if you got economics behind you, you can go buy a president.
Hey, listen, a proven point, Tulsa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black Wall Street.
They cared. They didn't care.
They didn't care who the president was. That president wasn't helping them.
No, at all. That's thank you for that, Minister P. Thank you. That puts especially that's a perfect point, because now that shows a point. That's a perfect point, you know, to bring that up. Tulsa is and so many others, but Tulsa is to be one of the most famous ones that they talk about. They didn't care who the president was. They didn't have a care, but it's sad enough that we spend a lot of energy on that, Minister P, worrying about, and that's defying us in history. Now, I don't want to see 30 or 40 years out, Minister P, whether I've stopped walking this earth today or tomorrow, or 30 years out or 40 years out. I don't want to see another Black Native American person running around with a sticker on their chest telling somebody voted. Because to me, it looks like a show and tell, like you in grade school and kindergarten. Because have you made the person that you voted for accountable for something? And then you saying you voted for what? What did you vote for? What did you get for your vote is my thing. Was it just a popularity thing to say, oh, I like that guy, he sound good? and you got nothing out of it at the end. When you just think back, when you see you vote for somebody, and then you like, wait a minute, let me just jump back for a minute and look and start and just study. Okay, what did I get out of voting for this person? Did my pay increase? Did I get a raise? Did I get a bigger house? Did I get a nicer car? Did I? No, it's you got something less than what you were going to get. You made that move, and that's what we're looking at now. Whether it be Trump or Biden, we got something less than what we voted for. We got nothing out of it, and we keep
How do we
asking.
get back on politics, man?
I don't know. I don't
But
know.
how,
Because
we
I'm
back,
talking
we
about
back on history, man.
I know. I'm talking about defining point in history. I'm defining the point in history, but that's defining the aspect of, well, how do we defining ourselves? And you brought, like I said, you brought back up the Tulsa. You know, if we defined ourselves as that way, that's painting a picture. That's reference to the
That's our model.
positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great model. That's a positive moment that comes out of that to what we need to strive and gear towards, to what we need to focus on and put our energy towards. That way we're able to make a mark, because surely, Minister P, you as well as I know, this time, I don't know if you've been paying attention to time. It's been going by fast. Like you look up, it's 12 o'clock. You look up, it's morning. You're like, wow, I just went to bed.
Believe me, I know. Exactly.
It's
And
like-
it is going by fast. And time is, listen, time is running out. It's just that simple. But you know what? I want to take this time to talk to all of our brothers and sisters, our listeners, our supporters, and our viewers. I want you all to take the time to look up uh, Black Wall Street and do that critical studying yourself. See, it's nothing like, hearing it from us, but it's nothing like you studying it yourself. I want you all to pull up, go to your history station, Google or whatever it is, and pull up the story of the Black Wall Street. And then you pull from the story yourself those things that we need to do as a Black community to get back to that model right there. See, all of us you can empower yourself by going to that story and seeing what those Black people did and feel that sense of pride, feel that sense of inclusion, feel that sense of aspiration and inspiration, and become that. When you look at your brother the next day, or your friend or supporter, you look at your sister the next day, or your friend or supporter, and give them that same mindset smile that, yeah, we can do it. What's up? We can do this. And so that this is what we're trying to get the message out to everybody now. Define yourself in the history by our history as we make history.
Oh yeah, well said. Well said. We have to definitely make that history. We have an aim. We have a mark. We have a goal, to get to that point to where we are able to define ourselves in family and to define ourselves in the depths of history of society, in this society. And as I say it always, we say it best on here, the hard conversations, dismantle and the indoctrination that we've been handled to ourselves, that have been handled by someone else to us. And we have to fix that. So, our time is running out, Mr. P, on this platform.
Oh man, look at that.
I know we got
Yes.
going. We got going. we was going. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for tuning in on this Friday evening. Let's look at this, as our topic was talking about how will we be defined, or you, however you want to say it, how we will be defined in history. And you can put yourself in that place of the we,
Yeah.
and talking about the you. I invite you to catch us on Friday evenings, as always, at 7 p.m. on Fridays to 8 p.m. Let's look at this. I'm your host, Dr. K, my co-host, Minister P. And on Sundays, Sunday mornings, you can catch Minister P at Love at Work Ministries from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. as he will be bringing the righteous word of God to you on that platform. So definitely tune in to our platforms on those days, and start to listen in a little bit more. We'll have some more venues coming up on, should be coming up on WKT from what I'm hearing. But we'll see. We'll see. KTSE Radio. Continue to buy black to keep our dollars and communities and get them back into a shape to where we can pass on to our children and to pass on to the future generation at hand, that way we will have a well-defined history. I'm your host, Dr. K. Wayne. I greet you in words of peace. And Minister P, it's been our time. I salute
That's
you.
it. Peace out.